The sun was setting over the small colony of New Busan. Orange light painted the sky as 12-year-old Tai walked home from the village store. His backpack was heavy with food for the week. His feet hurt, but he did not mind. He was happy to help his grandmother while his parents were away. Tai's father worked in the mines on the other side of the planet. His mother was a doctor who traveled between colonies. They would not be home for 3 more months. Until then, it was just Tai and grandmother Suk in their small house at the edge of the settlement. Almost home, Tai said to himself as he took the forest path. This route was shorter than the main road. Most kids his age were afraid to walk through the woods alone, but not Tai. He liked the quiet and the strange purple trees that grew only on this planet. The path was narrow and winding. Tai knew every turn by heart. He had walked this way hundreds of times in the 4 years since his family moved to New Busan. The colony was one of the newest human settlements, built only 20 years ago on this distant world. Tai shifted his backpack to his other shoulder. The fresh bread his grandmother had asked for was wrapped carefully on top so it wouldn't get crushed. She loved the bread from Baker Min's shop. "Nothing tastes like home like good bread," she always said. A strange sound made Tai stop walking. He listened carefully. There it was again, a rustling in the bushes to his right. It was too loud to be one of the small animals that lived in these woods. "Hello?" Tai called out. "Is someone there?" No answer came, but the rustling grew louder. Tai took a step back. Maybe it was a forest cat. They weren't dangerous if you didn't corner them, but it was best to be careful. The bushes parted, and what emerged was not a forest cat. It was not anything Tai had ever seen in real life. It was a Ryong. Tai's blood turned cold. Every child knew what a Ryong was. They were the most feared species in the known galaxy. Dragon-like aliens with scales that shimmered like metal, and 6 eyes that glowed in the dark. They were smart, strong, and deadly. In school, Tai had seen pictures and videos of these fearsome warriors. They were the reason every human colony had defense systems and weapons, but the creature that stood before him looked nothing like those images. This Ryong was thin, so thin Tai could see its bones. Through its scales. Its once bright scales were dull and some were missing. 5 of its 6 eyes focused on Tai, while one seemed damaged, cloudy, and half-closed. It stood on shaky legs, much taller than Tai even in its weakened state. Tai wanted to run. His legs shook, but fear kept him frozen in place. He had heard the stories. Ryong ate people. They attacked ships. They destroyed whole settlements. Everyone knew this. The Ryong opened its mouth. Tai saw rows of sharp teeth. This is it, he thought. I'm going to die, but instead of attacking, the creature spoke. "Help," it said in a raspy voice. The word was clear but sounded painful, as if speaking hurt its throat. "Food, please." Tai blinked in surprise. The deadliest predator in the galaxy was asking for food. This had to be a trick. You can talk?" Tai asked, his voice barely a whisper. The Ryong nodded slowly. "Yes, speak. Your language, little." It swayed on its feet, looking like it might fall over. "Hungry, many days." No food, Tai's mind raced. Everything he knew about Ryong told him to run away as fast as he could, to get to the colony and sound the alarm. But the creature before him didn't look dangerous. It looked sick, dying. "You're a Ryong," Tai said, stating the obvious. "You're supposed to be scary, strong. You eat people." The creature's eyes blinked slowly, one after another. "No, eat people, never." It shook its head weakly. Stories, wrong. Tai didn't know what to believe. The Ryong could be lying, but why would it bother? If it wanted to hurt him, it could have attacked already. Even weak as it was still bigger than Tai. "What's your name?" Tai asked, surprising himself with the question. The creature seemed equally surprised. "Name, I am Do." It placed a clawed hand against its chest. "I am Do. I'm Tai," he replied automatically. Then wondered if he should have given his name to a Ryong. Do took a shaky step forward, and Tai stepped back quickly. The Ryong stopped. "Sorry, scare you? Not mean to." Do's voice was getting weaker. "Just need food." "Then go, promise." Tai thought about the food in his backpack. His grandmother was expecting everything he bought. But he also remembered what she always told him. "Kindness is what makes us human, Tai. Never forget that." Slowly, Tai took off his backpack and opened it. He pulled out the wrapped bread, his grandmother's favorite. For a moment he hesitated. Then he broke the loaf in half. "Here," he said, holding out the larger piece. "You can have this." Doe's eyes widened, all six blinking rapidly, even the damaged one tried to. With surprising gentleness for such a large creature, Doe reached out and took the bread. Its claws were careful not to touch Tay's hand. The Ryong sniffed the bread once, then devoured it in 2 quick bites. Tay watched in amazement as the creature closed its eyes, seeming to savor the simple food. "Thank you," Doe said after a moment. Its voice already sounded a little stronger. "Kind human boy. Not forget. You should go," Tay said, looking nervously over his shoulder. "If anyone from the colony sees you," Doe nodded. "Yes, danger for me. Danger for you too, helping me." The Ryong turned to leave, then stopped. "Why help? Why give food to Ryong?" Tay thought about it. "You were hungry," he said simply. "And you asked nicely." A sound that might have been a laugh came from Doe. "Simple reason. Good reason." The Ryong looked at Tay with what seemed like respect. "Humans, interesting. Are there more of you? More Ryong nearby?" Tay asked, suddenly worried about the colony's safety. Doe shook its head. "No, alone, exiled, no clan. Exiled. Why?" The Ryong looked up at the darkening sky. "Long story. No time now. Getting dark. You should go home." Tay knew his grandmother would be worried if he was late. "Where will you go? Find shelter? Cave maybe, then..." Doe's voice trailed off as if it had no plan beyond finding a place to sleep. "There's a cave about 1/2 kilometer that way," Tay pointed. "No one from the colony goes there. You could stay there, for now." Doe looked in the direction Tay pointed. "Thank you again, Tay human. Dead to you now." "Just don't eat anyone," Tay said, half joking, half serious. The Ryong's eyes did that blinking thing again. "Promise, no eat. Never eat people. Not monster from stories." As Doe disappeared into the forest, Tay stood watching for a long moment. He had just helped a Ryong, the enemy of all humans according to everything he had been taught. He had shared food with it, talked with it, and somehow he didn't feel afraid anymore. Tay rewrapped the remaining half of the bread and put it in his backpack. His grandmother would notice the missing half. What would he tell her? As he continued walking home, Tay realized he had many questions. If Ryong didn't eat people, why did everyone think they did? Why was Doe alone and exiled? And most importantly, what would happen if the colony found out there was a Ryong living in a cave nearby? Tay didn't have answers, but he knew one thing. He would go back tomorrow. With more food and more questions. The next morning, Tay woke up early. He had not slept well. All night he thought about the Ryong in the forest. Was Doe still in the cave? Was he still hungry? Tay had many questions. Grandmother Sook was in the kitchen making breakfast when Tay came downstairs. "Good morning," she said with a smile. "You look tired. Did you not sleep well?" Tay shook his head. "Just had strange dreams," he lied. He did not like lying to his grandmother, but he could not tell her about Doe. "Not yet. Eat your breakfast," Sook said, putting a bowl of rice and eggs in front of him. "You need energy for school." As Tay ate, his grandmother looked at him closely. "The bread you brought yesterday was half gone. Did something happen on your way home?" Tay almost choked on his food. He should have known his grandmother would notice. I got hungry on the way back," he said quickly. "The walk is long and the bread smelled so good." Sook raised an eyebrow but did not ask more questions. Tay felt bad about the lie, but what could he say? That he gave half the bread to the most feared alien in the galaxy? After breakfast, Tay packed his school bag. He also put in an apple, some dried meat, and a small container of rice from breakfast. His grandmother did not see him take the extra food. School that day felt longer than usual. Tay could not focus on his lessons. His friend Jun noticed something was wrong. "Are you okay?" Jun asked during lunch. "You keep looking at the clock." "I'm fine," Tay said. "Just thinking about something. Want to come to my house after school?" "My dad got a new game from Earth." Tay shook his head. "Sorry, I can't today. I have to help my grandmother." Another lie. Tay felt worse with each one. When school finally ended, Tay did not take the main road home. Instead, he went straight to the forest path. His heart beat fast as he walked toward the cave where he had sent Doe. What if the Ryong was gone? What if it had been a dream? Or worse, what if Doe had lied and was now hunting in the forest? The cave was small and hidden behind thick bushes. Tay stopped a few meters away. "Doe?" he called softly. "Are you there?" "It's me, Tay." For a moment there was silence. Then a rustling sound came from inside the cave. Doe's large form appeared at the entrance. The Ryong looked a little better than yesterday, but still very thin and weak. "Tay human," Do said, and Tay thought he heard happiness in the alien's voice. "You came back. I brought you more food," Tay said, taking off his backpack. He pulled out the apple, dried meat, and rice container. Do's 6 eyes blinked in that strange pattern again. "More kindness. Why help enemy?" Tay handed the food to Do, who took it carefully. "Are you really our enemy? You don't seem dangerous to me." The Ryong ate the dried meat first, then the rice. He saved the apple for last, looking at it with curiosity before taking a bite. "Sweet," Do said, sounding surprised. "Good." Tay sat on a rock near the cave entrance. Now that his fear was gone, he was full of questions. "Why are you alone? Where is your family?" Do finished the apple before answering. "Even the core was gone. No family now. Exiled. Cast out from clan. Why?" Tay asked. "What did you do wrong?" Do made a sound that might have been a sigh. I questioned. Asked why we fight. Why we stay away from humans and other species. Why we let others fear us. The Ryong's voice grew stronger as he spoke. Elders did not like questions. Said I was weak. Not true, Ryong. Tay was surprised. This was nothing like what he had learned about Ryong. In school they were taught that Ryong were just violent predators who attacked without reason. But why do Ryong attack human ships and colonies? Everyone knows the stories. Do shook his head slowly. Some stories true. Some false. Some Ryong clans raid. Some trade, some hide. We are not all same. Just as all humans not same. The alien looked at Tay with his 5 good eyes. Your people fear what they do not understand. And Ryong don't fear humans? Tay asked. Some do, some don't. My clan feared change more than humans. That is why I am here now. Tay thought about this. It was hard to believe that everything he had been taught about Ryong might be wrong. But the creature sitting in front of him was nothing like the monsters from the stories. How long have you been alone? Tay asked. Many moon cycles. Traveled far. Hit on ships. Came to this world by accident. Ship I hit on came here. You've been starving all that time? Do nodded. Hard to hunt when weak. Hard to find food on strange world. Your bread was first real food in many days. Tay felt sad thinking about Do wandering alone, hungry and far from home. Even if Ryong were enemies of humans, no one deserved to starve. I'll bring you more food tomorrow, Tay promised. But you have to stay hidden. If anyone from the colony sees you, they will kill me. Do finished simply. I understand. We'll stay hidden. Tay stood up. I should go home now. My grandmother will worry. As he turned to leave, Do spoke again. Tay human. Thank you. Not just for food. For talking. For listening, Tay smiled. You can just call me Tay, not Tay human. Tay, Do repeated. Friend? The question surprised Tay. Could he be friends with a Ryong? Everything he knew said no. But everything he knew about Ryong seemed to be wrong. Yes, he said finally. Friends. The walk home was easier than the day before. Tay felt lighter somehow, even though he now carried a big secret. When he got home, his grandmother was in the garden. She looked up as he approached. You're late, she said. Did you go somewhere after school? I took a walk in the forest, Tay said. It wasn't completely a lie. The forest? Suk frowned. Be careful there, Tay. You know it's not always safe. I know the paths well, Tay assured her. Nothing to worry about. That night at dinner, Tay's grandmother talked about news from the colony. Captain Hyun says they detected something strange on the sensors yesterday. Might have been a ship passing by without using the proper channels. Tay's heart jumped. What kind of ship? They don't know. Just a brief signal, then nothing. Probably just miners or traders trying to avoid paying docking fees. She looked at Tay. Why do you ask? Just curious, he said, looking down at his food. Later in his room, Tay thought about Do. Had the sensors detected the Ryong somehow? Would they start looking in the forest? He needed to warn his new friend. Tay also thought about what Do had said. If some Ryong were peaceful, why didn't humans know this? Why were all the stories about them so scary? He made a decision. Tomorrow after school, he would go to the colony library. He needed to learn more about Ryong. Not just the stories everyone knew, but the truth. As he fell asleep, Tay wondered what his parents would think if they knew their son was friends with a Ryong. His father would probably be angry. His mother might understand. She always said that fear came from not knowing. And Grandmother Suk? Tay wasn't sure. She had lived through the early days of human expansion. when encounters with alien species were new and often dangerous, but she was also the one who taught Tay about kindness. The universe gives us choices, she would say, and those choices define who we are. Tay had made his choice. He would help Do, he would learn the truth. And maybe, just maybe, he could change how humans and Ryong saw each other. But first he needed to find more food. A Ryong, even a thin one, ate a lot more than half a loaf of bread. For the next week, Tay visited Do every day after school. Each time he brought food from home, leftovers from dinner, fruit from their garden, and sometimes bread from the village store. The Ryong was getting stronger. His scales were starting to shine again, and he could stand without shaking. Today, Tay carried a special treat, a whole roast chicken. His grandmother had made it for dinner last night, and there was plenty left over. "Won't your grandmother notice the missing food?" Do asked as he carefully picked the meat from the bones. Tay sat on his usual rock near the cave entrance. "I told her I'm extra hungry lately because I'm growing." He smiled. "It's not really a lie. I am growing." Do made a sound that Tay now recognized as laughter. The Ryong was speaking much better now. Each day his words became clearer and his sentences longer. "You are a clever human," Do said, "but I worry about your lies. Lies can grow like weeds," Tay sighed. "I know, I don't like lying to her. But what choice do I have? If I tell her about you, she might tell others. And then soldiers come with guns," Do finished. "Yes, I understand." After finishing the chicken, Do stretched his long body. He was almost 3 meters tall when standing straight. His tail, which had been limp when Tay first met him, now moved with purpose. "I have something to show you," the Ryong said. He went deeper into the cave and returned with a small object in his clawed hand. "What is it?" Tay asked, leaning forward to see better. Do opened his hand to reveal a small device. It was round and flat, with strange symbols on its surface. "This is a memory disk," Do explained. "From my ship. Before I was exiled, I took important information. History of my people, truth about Ryong and humans." Tay's eyes widened. "Can I see it? Can we watch it?" Do shook his head. "Need special reader, Ryong technology." He closed his hand around the disk. "One day, perhaps, when trust is built between our kinds." "I trust you," Tay said simply. "Yes. One human boy trusts one Ryong. It is a start." Do put the disk away carefully. "But we need more. Many more." Tay thought about what he had learned at the colony library. The information about Ryong was limited and mostly about their attacks on human ships. There was almost nothing about their culture or history. "The books in our library say Ryong first attacked humans 50 years ago, when we started exploring this part of space," Tay said. "Is that true?" Do settled back on his haunches, his tail curling around his feet. "Not exactly. First meeting between our kinds was peaceful. Trading. But then misunderstanding happened. Big mistake." "What mistake?" "Human ship entered sacred space. Place where Ryong ancestors rest. They did not know. Ryong warriors attacked to protect sacred place. Humans thought it was without reason." Do's damaged eye twitched. After that, fear grew on both sides. More fights. More misunderstanding, Tay frowned. "But why didn't your leaders just explain?" "Why not talk to humans?" "Pride," Do said simply. "Ryong pride very strong. And human pride too. Both sides too proud to admit mistakes. Easier to make enemy than friend sometimes." This made sense to Tay. Even among his school friends, he had seen how pride could turn small problems into big fights. "That's why you were exiled? Because you wanted to talk to humans?" Do nodded. "I said we should meet with human leaders. Explain our ways. Learn their ways. Elders said I betrayed Ryong tradition. Said I was weak." His voice grew sad. "My own clutch brother voted for my exile." "You have a brother?" Tay asked, surprised. "Had," Do corrected. "When exiled, all family ties are cut. He is no longer my brother in Ryong law." Tay couldn't imagine being cut off from his family. Even with his parents away for months at a time, he knew they were still his family. They would always come back to him. "I'm sorry," Tay said. "That must be very hard." Do looked at him with all 6 eyes. "Hard, yes. But now I have new friend." "Small human friend?" Tay smiled. "Not that small. I'm tall for my age." They both laughed and the sad moment passed. "Tay," Do said after a while, "I have been thinking. I cannot stay in this cave forever." Tay's smile faded. "Are you leaving?" "Where will you go?" "Not yet. But soon I must decide." Stay and try to change how humans see Ryong. Or leave, find new place, stay hidden. Do's tail swished back and forth. What do you think I should do? This was a big question. Tay wasn't sure he should be the one to answer it. I don't know, he admitted. If you stay, it's dangerous. If people find out about you, they might not all react like you. Do finished. Some might be afraid. Fear makes people do bad things. But if you leave, Tay continued, nothing will change. Humans will still think all Ryong are dangerous, and Ryong will still think all humans are enemies. Do nodded slowly. This is the problem. Change needs brave people, on both sides. They sat in silence for a while, each lost in thought. Finally, Tay spoke. Maybe we should tell my grandmother, he suggested. She's wise. And she was in the Colonial Defense Force when she was younger. People respect her. Do tilted his head. You trust her with my life? Tay thought carefully before answering. Yes, she taught me that kindness matters more than fear. And she always says we should judge people by what they do, not what others say about them. Then perhaps we should meet your grandmother and I, Do said. But we must be careful. Plan well, Tay nodded, excited but also nervous. I'll talk to her first. Prepare her. Then bring her here. As the sun began to set, Tay knew he had to go home. He stood up and gathered his backpack. I'll come back tomorrow, he promised, and I'll think about how to tell my grandmother. Do walked with Tay to the edge of the clearing in front of the cave. Be careful, young friend. Your safety matters to me, Tay smiled. Yours too. On the walk home, Tay's mind was full of plans and worries. How would he tell his grandmother about Do? Would she understand? Would she help them? Or would she feel she had to report the Ryong to the colony leaders? He was so deep in thought that he didn't notice the small drone hovering among the trees. It was a security drone from the colony, doing its regular patrol of the forest. Its camera turned, following Tay as he walked away from the cave. Back at home, Grandmother Sook was waiting on the porch. Her face looked worried. Tay, where have you been? I was about to call the security office. Sorry, Grandmother. I lost track of time. I was exploring in the forest, Sook frowned. Again? You've been going there every day this week? What's so interesting in the forest? Tay hesitated. This was his chance to start telling the truth. But not here, not now, not without planning. I found a good place to think, he said. It's quiet there. Helps me with my schoolwork. His grandmother didn't look convinced, but she nodded. Well, come inside. Dinner is ready. And Captain Hyun is coming over later. He wants to talk to us about something. Tay's heart jumped. Captain Hyun was the head of colony security. Why would he want to talk to them? About what? Tay asked, trying to keep his voice calm. I'm not sure, Sook said. But he said it was important. Something about unusual activity in the forest. Tay felt cold fear in his stomach. Had they found out about Do? Was the drone he hadn't noticed following him? He needed to warn his friend, but how? He couldn't go back to the cave now. As he followed his grandmother inside, Tay knew that his plan to carefully introduce Do to his grandmother was no longer possible. Things were moving too fast. Whatever happened next, he would have to think quickly. The safety of his Ryong friend now depended on what Captain Hyun knew, and what Tay would say when asked. Tay sat at the dinner table, but he could hardly eat. His mind was racing. What did Captain Hyun know? Had the security drone seen Do? Would soldiers go to the cave tonight? You're not eating, Grandmother Sook said, looking at Tay's full plate. Are you feeling sick? Just not hungry, Tay mumbled. That's new, his grandmother said with a small smile. You've been eating enough for 2 people lately. Before Tay could answer, there was a knock at the door. Sook went to open it, and Tay heard Captain Hyun's deep voice greeting her. Captain Hyun was a tall man with a serious face. He had been one of the first people to come to New Busan when the colony started. Everyone respected him, and most people feared him a little too. Good evening, Tay, the captain said as he entered the dining room. How are you? Fine, sir, Tay said, trying to sound normal. Captain Hyun sat down at the table. Grandmother Sook offered him tea, which he accepted with a nod. So, Sook said after pouring the tea. What brings you here tonight, Captain? You said it was important. Captain Hyun took a sip of tea before answering. We've detected some unusual activity in the forest near your property. Our security drones have been monitoring the area. Tay's hands began to sweat. He kept his eyes on his plate. What kind of activity? Sook asked. Movement patterns that don't match any known wildlife on this planet. The captain looked directly at Tay, and your grandson has been seen going to the same area every day this week. Now, both adults were looking at Tay. He felt his face getting hot. Tay? His grandmother said. Do you know something about this? Tay's mind worked quickly. He could lie again, say he didn't know anything. But the lies were already piling up, and now the colony security was involved. If they found Doe without warning, they would shoot first and ask questions later. He took a deep breath. Yes, I know what's in the forest. Captain Hyun leaned forward. What is it, son? Is it dangerous? No, Tay said quickly. Well, maybe, but not in the way you think. Explain, the captain said, his voice firm. Tay looked at his grandmother. Her eyes were worried but kind. She nodded slightly, encouraging him to continue. It's a Ryong, Tay said finally. But he's not dangerous. He's my friend. The room went completely silent. Captain Hyun's face hardened and Grandmother Suk gasped. A Ryong? The captain repeated. Here on New Busan. His name is Do, Tay continued quickly. He was starving when I found him. He begged me for food. He's alone, exiled from his people. He's been living in a cave and I've been bringing him food. Captain Hyun stood up so fast his chair fell backward. This is a serious security breach. Ryong are the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. They've attacked human settlements across 3 star systems. Not all of them. Tay protested. Do says there's been a misunderstanding between our species. He was exiled because he wanted peace with humans. It's lying to you, boy, Captain Hyun said, pulling out his communicator. Ryong are cunning. They'll say anything to get close to their prey. He's not lying. Tay shouted, standing up too. He's been weak and hungry for days. If he wanted to hurt me, he could have done it many times. Enough! Grandmother Suk's voice cut through their argument. She stood up slowly, looking at both of them. Captain, please put away your communicator for a moment. To Tay's surprise, Captain Hyun hesitated, then lowered his hand. Tay, Suk said, turning to her grandson. Tell us everything. From the beginning, so Tay did. He told them about finding Do in the forest, how the Ryong had begged for bread. He explained about the daily visits, the growing trust between them, and what Do had told him about Ryong history and the misunderstandings with humans. He has a memory disk with the true history of his people, Tay finished. He wants to share it to help humans understand Ryong better. Captain Hyun shook his head. This could all be an elaborate trap. Ryong are intelligent and patient hunters. But what would be the point? Grandmother Suk asked. One Ryong alone in a human colony? It makes no strategic sense. Unless it's a scout for others, the captain suggested. He's not. Tay insisted. He was exiled, cast out. His own brother voted to send him away because he wanted peace with humans. Captain Hyun paced the room thinking. Even if what you say is true, and that's a big if, I can't ignore the presence of a Ryong near our colony. It's my job to keep everyone safe. Then talk to him, Tay suggested. Meet him yourself. See that he's not dangerous. Absolutely not, the captain said firmly. What if we bring him here? Grandmother Suk suggested suddenly. Both Tay and Captain Hyun looked at her in surprise. Bring a Ryong into the colony? The captain asked incredulously. That's even worse. Not into the colony, Suk clarified. Here, to our home. It's isolated enough. No one would see. She looked at Tay. You said he's getting stronger. Can he walk that far? Tay nodded slowly. I think so. But why here? Neutral ground, his grandmother explained. Not his territory, not the colony's security office. Just a simple home. She turned to Captain Hyun. You can bring 2 guards if you want, but no more. We don't want to scare him. The captain frowned deeply. This goes against all security protocols. Sometimes protocols need to be broken, Suk said quietly. Especially when there's a chance for something important to happen. Captain Hyun looked at her for a long moment. You were always the one pushing boundaries, Suk, even back in our Defense Force days. And I was usually right, she replied with a small smile. The captain sighed heavily. Fine, we'll do it your way. But I'll have my best guards with me and we'll be armed. No shooting unless he attacks first, Suk insisted. Promise me, Hyun. After a moment he nodded. You have my word. Tay could hardly believe what was happening. So I can go get Do? Bring him here. Tomorrow, Captain Hyun said. At midday. I need time to prepare my men and brief them properly. He looked sternly at Tay. And no warning the Ryong about our weapons. I want to see its true reaction when it sees armed humans. His reaction, Tay corrected. Not it, he. The captain raised an eyebrow but didn't argue. Tomorrow at midday, he repeated, then left. When the door closed behind him, Tay turned to his grandmother. Do you believe me? About Doe? Suk sat down heavily in her chair. I believe you believe what you're saying, Tay. Whether this Ryong is telling the truth? She shrugged. We'll find out tomorrow. Why did you suggest bringing him here? Tay asked. Because if what you say is true, this could be important. The first peaceful meeting between humans and Ryong in 50 years. She looked out the window at the night sky. And if you're wrong, better to find out here than to have Captain Hyun and his soldiers storming into the forest with guns blazing. Tay nodded slowly. I'm not wrong about Doe, you'll see. I hope so, his grandmother said. Now go to bed. You have an important job tomorrow. That night Tay could hardly sleep. His mind kept going over everything that had happened and what might happen tomorrow. Would Doe agree to come? Would he trust Tay enough to walk into what could be a trap? And most importantly, would Captain Hyun and his guards give Doe a fair chance, or were they just looking for an excuse to shoot? Early the next morning, before the sun was fully up, Tay slipped out of the house. He needed to warn Doe to explain what was happening. He ran through the forest, taking the familiar path to the cave. Doe, he called as he approached. Are you there? It's important. The Ryong emerged from the cave, looking alert. Tay, why so early? What's wrong? Tay caught his breath and explained everything. The security drones, Captain Hyun's visit, and the plan to meet at his grandmother's house. It could be dangerous, Tay admitted. The captain will have armed guards. But my grandmother will be there too, and she's fair. This might be our only chance to show them you're not what they think. Doe was silent for a long time, his 6 eyes blinking in that pattern Tay had come to recognize as deep thought. If I don't go, the Ryong said finally, they will come here with more soldiers, more guns. Probably, Tay agreed. And if I run away, hide somewhere else? Nothing changes, Tay finished. Humans still fear Ryong. Ryong still hide from humans. Doe nodded slowly. Then I will come. For chance of peace, I will risk my life. He reached back into the cave and retrieved the small memory disk. And I will bring truth with me. Tay felt a wave of relief and worry at the same time. Thank you. We'll leave in a few hours when the sun is higher. As he turned to go, Doe called after him. Tay, if things go wrong, if I don't survive this meeting, don't say that, Tay interrupted. It will be fine. If it is not, Doe insisted, remember what you learned. Not all Ryong are enemies. Not all stories are true. His voice softened. And friendship can grow in strange places like bread shared with a hungry stranger. Tay nodded, his throat tight with emotion. I'll remember. But nothing will go wrong. You'll see. As he walked back home, Tay hoped with all his heart that he was right. The sun was high in the sky when Tay and Doe reached the edge of the forest. From here they could see Tai's house in the distance. It stood alone on a small hill away from the main colony buildings. That's my home, Tay said, pointing. My grandmother is waiting for us there. Doe looked at the house, then at the open space they would have to cross to reach it. The Ryong seemed nervous, his tail swishing back and forth. No trees, he said. No place to hide if danger comes. There won't be danger, Tay assured him, though he wasn't completely sure himself. Captain Hyun promised. Doe made a sound that might have been a laugh. Promises are easy to break when fear is strong. They stood at the forest edge for a few more minutes. Tay could see movement around his house. Captain Hyun had arrived with his guards just as he said he would. Are you ready? Tay asked. Doe straightened to his full height, almost 3 meters tall. His scales caught the sunlight, shimmering with blue and green colors. He looked much healthier than when Tay had first found him. Ready, the Ryong said. Let us make history, small friend. They walked slowly across the open field. Tay could see figures on the porch of his house now. His grandmother stood in front with Captain Hyun and 2 guards behind her. The guards held pulse rifles, but they were pointed down, not at Doe. As they got closer, Tay heard Captain Hyun's sharp intake of breath. It really is a Ryong, he said quietly. His name is Doe, Grandmother Suk reminded him. And remember your promise. When they were about 10 meters from the house, Doe stopped. Close enough, he said. For first meeting. Captain Hyun stepped forward, his hand resting on the blaster at his hip. I am Captain Hyun, head of security for New Busan Colony.
Why are you here on our planet?
Do lowered his head slightly, a gesture of respect. I am Do, formerly of the Sunfire clan. I came here by accident, hiding on a trade ship. I was exiled from my people for suggesting peace with humans. Convenient story, one of the guards muttered. Do's damaged eye twitched, but he remained calm. Not convenient, painful to lose family, clan, home. There is no convenience in exile. Grandmother Suk stepped forward. She was a small woman, barely reaching Do's chest, but she showed no fear. Why should we believe you? She asked directly. For 50 years, Ryong have attacked human ships and colonies. Why would one Ryong suddenly want peace? Not suddenly, Do replied. Many Ryong want peace, but old ways, old fears are strong. He reached slowly into a pouch at his side. The guards raised their rifles, but Do moved very carefully, pulling out the small disc he had shown Tai. This contains truth, he said, holding it up. History of Ryong and humans. First contact. First misunderstanding. First blood. What misunderstanding? Captain Hyun asked, his voice still suspicious but also curious. Do explained about the sacred space, the human ship that entered it not knowing its importance, and the Ryong attack that followed. He told them about how pride on both sides prevented communication, how fear grew into hatred, and how both species now saw the other as enemies to be destroyed. My clan elders say humans cannot be trusted, Do finished. Your leaders say Ryong are only killers. Both are wrong. There was silence when he finished speaking. Even the guard seemed thoughtful. That's a good story, Captain Hyun said finally. But without proof. The proof is standing right in front of you, Tae interrupted. Do has been living near our colony for weeks. He could have attacked at any time. Instead, he was starving, begging for bread. The boy speaks truth, Do said. If I wanted to hurt humans, why wait? Why grow weak with hunger? Grandmother Suk stepped closer to Do, looking up at his face. May I? She asked, reaching toward him. Do nodded, lowering his head. Suk placed her hand gently on the side of his face, near his damaged eye. How did this happen? She asked softly. My brother, Do replied, his voice equally soft. When I was judged for exile. Last gift from family. Suk's face showed sadness and understanding. She turned to Captain Hyun. He's telling the truth, Hyun. I can feel it. The captain frowned. Your feelings aren't evidence, Suk. Then what would be evidence? Tae asked, frustrated. What would prove to you that Do isn't dangerous? Before Captain Hyun could answer, a loud noise came from above. Everyone looked up to see a ship breaking through the clouds. It was not a human ship. Its design was sleek and predatory, with sharp angles and a dark metal hull. Ryong ship, Do said, his voice filled with fear. Hunter class. Captain Hyun grabbed his communicator. All units, alert status. Unknown ship in colony airspace. Not unknown, Do said. Hunter ship. Looking for me. For you? Tae asked. Why? Exile not enough, Do explained quickly. Some in my clan want me dead. Shame to clan must be erased. The ship circled lower, hovering over the field between the forest and Tae's house. A beam of light shot down and 3 Ryong appeared on the ground. They were larger than Do, with bright red and gold scales. All 3 carried weapons that looked like spears but glowed with energy. Clan hunters, Do whispered. Elite warriors. Captain Hyun and his guards raised their weapons. Stay behind us, he ordered Tae and his grandmother. The 3 Ryong warriors approached slowly. The one in front, with a scar across his snout, spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. Do of Sunfire clan, he said in perfect standard. Your exile is ended. Your shame will be cleansed with death. Do stepped forward, placing himself between the hunters and the humans. I have no shame, Kir. My only shame would be to stay silent while our people continue a pointless war. The lead hunter, Kir, looked past Do at the humans. You hide behind soft prey? You have fallen far, brother. Brother? Tae gasped. That's your brother? Do nodded slightly. Yes, Kir is my clutch brother. The one who gave me this. He touched his damaged eye. Kir raised his weapon. Step aside, humans. This is Ryong business. The exile must die. No, Tae said, moving to stand beside Do. He's under our protection. Grandmother Suk joined them, followed by a reluctant Captain Hyun. The boy is right, Suk said. Your quarrel is not welcome here. Kir looked surprised. You protect a Ryong, why? Because he's my friend, Tae said simply. Because he was hungry and I gave him bread. Because he could have hurt me many times but never did. And because, Captain Hyun added, surprising everyone, we're tired of this war too. Kir and the other hunters exchanged looks. They seemed confused by the humans' actions. You do not understand, Kir said. Do spreads dangerous ideas. He would have us forget our pride, forget the human trespasses against our sacred spaces. Not forget, Do replied. Forgive. Move forward. Learn from each other instead of killing each other. Tae stepped closer to Kir, ignoring his grandmother's attempt to pull him back. Did you know that when I first met your brother he was starving? He begged me for bread. The deadliest predator in the galaxy, begging a human boy for food. Kir's eyes narrowed. Impossible. A Ryong would die before begging. He almost did die, Tae continued. But he chose to live instead. He chose to ask for help. Is that really so shameful? The hunters looked uncertain now. The two behind Kir lowered their weapons slightly. Show them the disc, Tae suggested to Do. Let them see the truth too. Do held out the memory disc to his brother. See for yourself, Kir. Our true history, not the stories the elders tell. For a long moment no one moved. Then slowly Kir reached out and took the disc. He studied it, then looked at Do. The elders will not change their minds easily, he said. I know, Do replied. But we must try. For the future of both our species. Kir was silent for another long moment. Then he lowered his weapon completely. I will take this to the clan. I will consider your words. That's all I ask, brother, Do said, his voice filled with emotion. The hunters backed away, returning to the beam of light. Before they disappeared, Kir looked at Tae. Human boy, he called. You gave bread to my brother when he was starving. The Sunfire clan owes you a debt. Then they were gone, the ship rising quickly into the clouds and vanishing. Everyone stood in silence, trying to process what had just happened. Finally, Captain Hyun spoke. Well, he said, holstering his blaster. I think that counts as evidence. Grandmother Suk laughed, the tension breaking. Yes, I think it does. Tae looked up at Do. What happens now? The Ryong looked at the sky where the ship had disappeared. Now we wait. See if Kir keeps his word. See if minds can change. And until then? Captain Hyun asked. What do we do with you? Grandmother Suk put her hand on the captain's arm. He stays with us, of course. As our guest, a Ryong living with humans? Captain Hyun shook his head. The Colony Council will have a lot to say about that. Let them talk, Suk said firmly. Sometimes talking is how change begins. Later that evening, Tae sat on the porch with Do. The Ryong had to duck his head to fit through the doorway of the house, but he seemed comfortable sitting outside, looking at the stars. Do you think your brother will really show the disc to your clan? Tae asked. I hope so, Do replied. Kir is proud, but he is not blind. What he saw today, humans protecting a Ryong, that will make him think. And what about you? Tae asked. Will you stay here with us? Do looked down at his young friend. For now, yes. There is much I can teach humans about Ryong, and much I can learn from humans. He made the rumbling sound that was his laugh, starting with how to make bread. It is very good, your bread. Tae smiled. I'll ask grandmother to teach you. She makes the best bread in the colony. As they sat together, human boy and alien dragon, Tae thought about how it all began, with a simple act of kindness, a starving creature, and half a loaf of bread. Sometimes the smallest things could change the world, or in this case, two worlds. In the house, Captain Hyun was talking with Grandmother Suk about how to present this situation to the Colony Council. Outside, the first stars were appearing in the sky, and somewhere out there, a Ryong ship was carrying a small disc with a big truth. A truth that might finally end 50 years of fear and fighting. All because a hungry dragon begged a human boy for bread.